Hey there, it's Mark Kokovac from Render Demo. I'm going to be taking you through my new How to Draw Cars sketchbook. As I mentioned before in some other videos, these sketchbooks were designed to not only be a how to draw book where you learn how to actually draw a car, but you sketch directly inside of the sketchbook here. So I'll be taking you through the book and kind of show you what's inside, but we also have this stencil that I'll show you how to use in a bit near the end of the video. So here's the book. It's a moleskine hardcover book, the front and back. We have a blue elastic band. We have the edges of the paper colored to kind of match the blue theme here. So we kind of open up the book and kind of take you through where we started and some other products that we have on renderdemo.com. Some video tutorials as well. I studied automotive design in school at the College for Creative Studies in Detroit, Michigan for a few years, way back. And so I thought I'd put this sketchbook together, kind of teach young artists that want to get into car design. So here we kind of have the table of contents, kind of go through the anatomy of a car, the different types of cars and vehicles, proportions of a car, some perspectives, orthographics, kind of touch on the wheels and setting those up, and some sketching pages at the back with some reference materials and templates. It's going to show you a different assortment of vehicles. This isn't all of them, but a good basic, from micro cars all the way to large sport utility vehicles. So the anatomy of the car, one of my favorite cars is the Porsche 911 Turbo, and so I kind of chose that as the vehicle to use for displaying the anatomy. But it kind of gives you the call outs here and lists what those are and what they mean. So you can kind of go through that, kind of highlight the different car types as well with a little bit of a blurb about each of them. Then we get right into proportions. So how I set up a side view here, and then the practice pages on the right are intended for you to kind of follow along. You can sketch a whole car up here, or try to follow along what's happening on the left, and follow along. And then steps 4, 5, and 6. And then we get into some perspectives and how we set those up. And again, half of the pages in this book are sketching pages, so there's guidelines on there, but the intention is for you to sketch alongside. So then this chapter here, quickly we're in the 5th, but the idea was to give you all this information early on and go from there. But how to set up orthographic views using a micro car. Then we have our wheels. Kind of put the wheels from direct side view to a 20-degree rotation to 45 to 80 degrees. Kind of the main proportions there, and perspectives that you'll be using a lot. So then once we get into sketching, we start off with the micro car, and we wanted to show you kind of like a center line, some cross sections throughout the car. Give you a feel for the volume, and then here's your wheelbase represented along the horizontal here, and then how many wheels upwards you go to kind of set those up. We start those here for you on the right. You sketch over these. Feel free to tweak your design and make it bigger, a little bit smaller, or cheat it a little bit. What we also do is change the direction, so we have left facing and right facing. Then here, these ones are intended for you to start sketching with the entire page in mind. So a little bit bigger, can start adding a lot more detail with the larger format. We'll give you that top down, try to replicate the top here. I sketched it out on the left, so if you want to try to mirror it on the right, try your own on the right page. And then we give you the orthographic view here as well of the micro car. We show you some perspective views, So these are all, this area here is all micro car, and we pretty much follow the same format. So we give you, perspective views, large scale, kind of fill those pages up. Then we go over to hot rods. So if you're a hot rod guy, start sketching those. And a lot of people, they love sketching sports cars, but in order to be a good, well-rounded designer, understanding the different proportions and reasons why they're different sizes and lengths and dimensions, it really helps you become an overall well-rounded artist and designer. So similar format for the hot rod. Some perspectives. So orthographic, top down. We go into the sports car, same thing, side views. It shows you the overhangs of the front and rear. And then these areas here, you can start to kind of, you can keep drawing a Porsche, or you can go and sketch any kind of sports car here. The idea is to get you sketching, and to keep sketching. So we have some rear views, kind of threw in a little sketch up here to kind of help you along, give you some encouragement. The next car is muscle cars. Just kind of picked an old muscle car for this. The same process: orthographic views, side views, perspective views. Lots of pages here. I would say more than 50% of this book is your own sketching. Probably say about 75% of it. Then we get into luxury cars. So you got your side views, top down. This gives you all the views, front and rear. Some perspectives. And mainly, the perspectives are all, they follow the same theory, but based on the wheelbase of the luxury car. The number of wheels in between the front and rear wheel are different, the overhang's different, the height is different. So, but they all use the same principles of your vanishing point lines, and creating those ellipses in those directions. So, encourage you to keep sketching here. So a couple perspectives. So, jumping over to minivans, this is probably not the most glamorous vehicle, but it's very relevant for a lot of people, a lot of families. So creating these for companies that produce them is a big market. So a lot of these vehicles are made. So wanted to touch on that and give you a chance to kind of sketch a little bit on those. So same thing. We'll skip over here to pickup trucks. For all you guys and gals that like pickup trucks, we have you covered. So this book really, any type of medium. Here's a sports utility vehicle, SUVs. You can use pencil, any type of pencil on here. Pens, ink pens work great. You can use pencils for shading. Markers, to some extent they work well, but if you have a really wet marker, again, it'll bleed through this paper. So you just want to watch how wet your marker is before you maybe test it out on a page or two to make sure it's good. But you can use marker on here, just not too generously. And then in the back of the book here, we have a list of design schools. Some of these focus on automotive design. Some are just good industrial design schools. So worldwide here. There is a large list of other schools, of course, but we just wanted to kind of hit on a few here. So just definitely investigate based on your location. But some automotive brands across the world. Just for your reference, some reference design links, so that specifically focus on cars, and some printed media, some books on car design, and some cool stuff that I have in my collection that I thought could be useful here. Some trade shows throughout the year that happen. This kind of describes the non-photo blue that we use. So when you're scanning these, the idea is that blue will go away after you create your artwork on there. If you scan this in, bring it in Photoshop, you can get the blue lines to kind of disappear. And then in the back of the book here, we have a bunch of templates. So you feel free to sketch up to this point. If you want to sketch over top of this stuff too, by all means, go for it. But the intention is, a year later, you want to kind of get back into sketching some car stuff. If you leave these clean, you can take this to the copy machine that you have, make some extra copies, zoom them up, enlarge them onto larger scale paper. But these are intended for you to be able to make additional copies of, and sketch, keep on sketching. So we have all of the car types that we had in the book all listed back here as well. And that's it for the book. So if you want to get a copy, visit renderdemo.com. And we have some other great stuff out there on the website as well. I will show you the stencil now. So in addition to the sketchbook, I created this interesting stencil, and the idea is for you to be able to you take this, use it on any type of paper that's readily available for you. And what I wanted to show you here was we have a bunch of ellipses on the outer perimeter here. So we have the different degrees of ellipses, and then there's 3 perspectives here that are all kind of grouped together, and I tried to separate them as best as I could. But right over here you have your ground perspective. So if you draw your ground line, and then you kind of take the template, put it over top of that ground line, what you're seeing here is this could either be the front view or a rear view of the vehicle, depending on what you want to do here. But this wheel here, if your car's pointed in this direction from the front, this becomes your front wheel. This is your back wheel, and you can start putting in your your ground line, clearance line. I'm just going to quickly sketch this here, but just to give you an idea. So this is your front wheel. You can sketch whatever design you want in here, and I'm running out of ink in this pen. You can get an idea of what that's going to look like from the front or from the rear. So these other views, this is a front or a rear. Again, it can be either one, but your wheelbase kind of gives you your ellipses to kind of start you off. So that's your wheelbase here. So now you have a front or a rear 3/4 view, and the last one down below is kind of a side view, but from slightly up above. So you're like looking down at the car, and the axle is running in this direction here. So if you create your axis line and finishing point in this direction, so you're looking at your car in that direction. So a great little guide, a stencil guide here. And if you wanted to set up your own wheelbase and create your own vanishing points, you figure out which what perspective you want. You can use these ellipses to get whatever angle that you're looking for. So that's the stencil. So again, I hope you enjoy this and you got to learn a little bit about what's inside the sketchbook. And if you wanted to get a copy, please visit renderdemo.com. Don't forget to leave some comments at the bottom of the page. If you have any ideas or suggestions, I'd love to hear it. Maybe even some upcoming books we'll put together for you. So please comment and share this with all your friends, so let them know